If you're thinking about breaking into tech and landing a role as a beginner in 2026, then the opportunity that you have today has never been more promising. Big tech is spending over $700 billion on AI and cloud infrastructure this year alone, and tens of thousands of tech jobs are being posted in the US every single day. Yet the problem is, most people trying to break into tech are confused on where to start or which career they should choose. They're stuck chasing job titles that stopped hiring beginners 2 years ago and collecting tech certifications that don't even translate into job offers. I'm Suleiman. Over the last 11 years, I've worked as a software engineer, cloud architect in DevOps, and now I'm working in AI consulting. In this video, I'm ranking the best tech careers for beginners to start in 2026 from S tier to F tier. For every tech career on this list, I've either got experience in them myself, hired them for my own companies across consulting and software, or trained and placed professionals in the industry. But first, let's go through the ranking criteria, because that's what will ultimately determine the grade that we give for each role. We've got 4 categories. Number 1, time to first job offer. How long will it realistically take you to get hired as a beginner? And this especially matters today because some of the jobs on this list aren't even entry-level roles at all. Number 2, your earning potential. The truth is, you get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. If you want more money, you need to solve harder problems. Number 3, AI durability. What's the risk AI replaces this role in the next 12 to 18 months? Because if it does, then you spent your time and money chasing a career that will be obsolete by the time that you're actually job ready. 4, career leverage. Once you're hired, what's the next stage? Is there room to grow and specialize? Or is the skill set too narrow, which will leave you trapped? Let's start with a super entry-level role, IT help desk. This is the person that is called when something breaks. Passwords, laptops, software that won't install. You're troubleshooting and working through support tickets. Let's take it through our criteria. Time to first job offer. This is typically really fast because the role is entry level. A few months, an IT certification or 2, and you're in with 0 prior experience. Earning potential, super low and capped. Unfortunately, here we're not solving any complex problems, so the pay also reflects this. AI durability, probably the highest risk on this board as it's already being automated away as we speak. And this goes back to the difficult problems that you're solving. As I said, it's pretty straightforward, so that leaves the door wide open for AI and software to automate this role. Career leverage, again, really low. This is obviously an annoying one because you're told that this role is a stepping stone into the next stage of your tech career, but the reality is, unless you learn and acquire a new skill set along the way, you'll be trapped in this role forever. And I've spoken to many help desk professionals who originally pitched this as a short-term solution for their career, and now they spend 10 to 15 years in that same role and they're still stuck. So IT help desk goes into F tier. Next, AI engineer. This is the person who builds the applications that leverage foundational models like ChatGPT and Claude. For example, you could be feeding them a business's own data and documents and then turning it into an application that solves a real problem for them. Time to first job offer. A few years ago, you probably needed a PhD and 10 years of experience to get near these AI roles. But today, you're not actually building the models. You're building the software layer on top of the AI models that already exist. But still, this requires multiple years of experience. Earning potential, exceptional. And that's because you're solving really difficult problems. The ability to get AI to work reliably inside of a real business is extremely tough. And that's why 95% of AI pilot projects yield 0 returns. AI durability, pretty self-explanatory. This is the lowest risk on the entire board. Career leverage, again, exceptional. The knowledge that you can get here can allow you to keep progressing and build your own products or companies because you're at the cutting edge of tech and where AI is today. With that said, we have to address the elephant in the room. This isn't an entry-level role at all, and it's not something that you should aim for to be your first job in tech, but it is somewhere that you can specialize in later on in your career. And for that reason, it just misses out on the S tier. AI engineer goes into A tier. Next up, we've got QA or software tester. This person tests software for bugs and potential issues before it goes live in front of customers. So you're going through the product, finding what breaks, logging it, and then making sure that it gets fixed before it goes live. You may also be building some automated software testing as well. Time to first job offer is pretty fast. I'd say a few months because it's generally an entry-level role, especially if you're doing manual testing and clicking through the product yourself. If it's automated testing where you're writing code that does the testing for you, then that's going to be a lot longer. Early potential is modest and it caps out early. And again, this comes back to the difficulty of the problem that you're solving. Manual and even automated testing isn't really solving really hard problems a business is facing. AI durability, super high risk. Think about what testing is Repetitive follows a script with a right answer to check against every single time. This is the exact kind of work to hand over to AI, and more, it's rare to have a dedicated QA person in an engineering team. Career leverage, super limited. You've got a skill set in a very narrow domain, so if you want to get out of QA, you have to go and learn something completely separate on the side first. So it's easy to get into, but with low pay, a high automation risk, and poor career leverage. So QA goes into D tier. Next, we've got system or network administrator. This person owns the IT systems a company runs on, keeping them available, secure, and recoverable when things go wrong. So that includes servers, user accounts, patching, backups, and the network. You're essentially one of the core reasons the lights stay on. Time to first job offer is pretty moderate. It's longer than IT help desk, but not as tough as AI engineering. This can very much be your first job in tech as it's accessible for beginners. Earning potential, quite low. It's better than IT help desk, but there's a hard ceiling. Sure, keeping IT systems running is valuable, but it's not as valuable, for example, as designing the core infrastructure itself. AI durability, here is low to medium. It's a slower squeeze than help desk, but again, increasingly, cloud providers are giving you tools and services to do this maintenance work for you. Career leverage, again, same as AI durability, low to medium. You do have more of a baseline understanding of IT systems and infrastructure like networking, security, storage, but you still need a lot of retraining to move up. Systems or network admin goes into D tier. Next, we have software engineer. And despite what you're hearing about it in the news, this is far more in demand than it seems. This person is writing code and software to build products and applications. Time to first job offer, I'd say medium. I know plenty of software engineers without a job right now, and it's not the early 2000s when this job was exploding in demand. The problem is companies really expect well-rounded software engineers now, especially with AI tools at your fingertips. Earning potential is excellent, and especially at the very high end, working for companies like Anthropic, OpenAI, Microsoft. But as I mentioned, these aren't pure software engineering roles anymore. You'll need to understand cloud and architecture and AI as well. AI durability, believe it or not, I see it as a lower risk than what you see on the news. Real software engineering is way more than just writing clean code, and the notion that it is replacing software engineers to me isn't the truth. And we've recently seen a resurgence in hiring. Career leverage, very high. Once you're in, the progression can be into architecture, platform, and especially AI engineering, which is super common now. For sure, one of the best careers still in 2026. But for beginners, when you're considering the competition, how many experienced software engineers are without a job right now? And the expectations on you in terms of your skill set means that you can't pick this up in a few months and be confident that you'll land a role. So that is why software engineering goes into B tier. Next, we've got cloud support engineer. This is basically IT help desk, but for cloud systems. So somebody reports a problem with a service, you'll diagnose it, you'll work through the runbook, and you escalate it if you can't fix it yourself. You can probably guess where I'm ranking this, but let's take it through the criteria real quick. Time to first job offer, pretty fast, and it's genuinely entry level, is one of the most accessible cloud roles out there, and some of the big providers will hire directly into this from non-traditional backgrounds. Earning potential is pretty low and it caps out quickly, but it is better than general IT support. Just like IT help desk, you're not solving difficult problems, so you're very limited with compensation packages too. AI durability, high risk, and the cloud providers themselves are building the tools that automate this role entirely. Career leverage, again, pretty limited, is a trap that I want you to avoid because beginners take this role assuming that the next stage is naturally cloud engineer, but the role doesn't teach you to build or design cloud infrastructure, so you'll end up stuck unless you retrain after you gain experience, which you can see is becoming a bit of a theme so far. So as a beginner, this can be a stepping stone career, and I don't want to dismiss that, but cloud support engineer still goes into F tier. Next, GRC analyst. Governance, risk, and compliance. You're making sure a company meets its security rules and legal obligations. So that's writing the policies, running the checks, gathering evidence, and producing the paperwork that proves the company actually does what it says it does. Time to first job offer, pretty fast, 4 to 6 months, and it is an entry-level role. It's one of the very few roles on this list where you don't need to be technical. Earning potential, I'd say moderate and pretty good at senior level. But I speak to a lot of cybersecurity professionals, and at the analyst and compliance side, like at this level, they all complain about salary caps that they have in their jobs that prevents them from progressing and making more money. AI durability, moderate to low, which means it's at risk of being automated away. The nature of the job, specifically documentation side of things, AI is very good at, and companies are continuing to leverage this to make the analysts more productive but also not to hire as many. And that is just the truth. Career leverage, I'd say it's reasonable, but slow. You can definitely progress into leadership roles. But as I mentioned, GRC analyst isn't technical. And if there is something important to take away here, is that you want to go into technical roles in the AI era, where you're building, designing, and solving real problems instead of being on this side of things where you're documenting or managing people that companies are not really investing in anymore. So this is an entry-level role and does have its benefits, but you're non-technical, and I wouldn't recommend going down that avenue for your career. So GRC goes into C tier. Next, we have cloud engineer. Here you design, secure, scale, and maintain the core IT and cloud infrastructure that all the software applications that we use every single day. It's critical to how a business is operating. Time to first job offer. Fast, I'd say 3 to 6 months, and it's entry level despite what you're hearing online, as long as you're building the right skills instead of just collecting certifications. Because AWS has reported a global shortage of 6 million cloud professionals, and I've had students land cloud roles with no prior tech experience. Earning potential is excellent, 6 figures at entry level, 200K after a few years, and senior engineers can also reach over 300K a year. AI durability is very high, which means it's at a low risk because the job is centered around designing and building core IT infrastructure and making business decisions that all have trade-offs. AI isn't trusted to build this infrastructure and deploy it to production. It can definitely help, but it's not replacing this role anytime soon because of how critical changes at the infrastructure level actually is. Just like I mentioned on software engineers earlier. Career leverage, one of the best. So again, very high. The skills that you pick up as a cloud engineer translate as well across the board, whether you decide to specialize in AI or cloud security down the line, because you are learning architecture, system design, scripting, infrastructure as code, pipelines, right? This means that you're not required to massively retrain yourself like you would in IT help desk or systems admin or GRC, for example. So with that in mind, cloud engineer is the first role that goes into S tier. And by the way, if you want my help to become a cloud engineer and land a cloud role in 2026, then click the link in the description below to book a call with my team. Next up, we have data analyst. This person turns a company's raw data into answers the business can make data-driven decisions on. Time to first job offer is pretty fast, I'd say 3 to 6 months, and it is for sure entry level. Earning potential is moderate, but it plateaus much sooner than people expect. And again, this comes back to the difficulty of the problems that you're solving. This isn't a super technical role, and that prevents you from earning the biggest compensation packages. AI durability, it's low, which means it's high risk. The nature of the job is pattern-based work with a right answer every single time, making it ripe for disruption. Now, it is worth mentioning what actually survives here isn't the analysis. It's knowing which questions is worth asking in the first place. And that's the skill that will always remain valuable. Career leverage, I'd say moderate. You can move up into data science, which will be more centered around AI applications today, but that will require some retraining and more technical skills as well. So a genuinely fast and accessible way to break into tech, but a serious automation risk, and you can move up as long as you're deliberately retraining. So data analyst goes into C tier. Next up, we have DevOps engineer. This role sits between the people writing code and people running it into production. So you're building systems that take code from a developer's laptop all the way into production in front of real customers reliably and automatically. Time to the first job offer, I'd say at least 6 to 12 months, but more importantly, this isn't an entry-level role at all. Increasingly, companies want 4 to 5 years of experience and are not looking at beginners anymore. Earning potential, really good. DevOps engineers really earn 6 figures and can earn way beyond. AI durability, I'd say moderate. Writing small automation scripts is being automated away, but the know-how and the ability to make judgment calls for the business will always be in demand regardless of AI. Career leverage, excellent. The next stage typically is platform or site reliability engineering because the skills translate really well into those roles. So you've got excellent money, career leverage, but with no real door open for a beginner. So DevOps engineer goes into B tier. Next up, we have forward deployed engineer. Essentially, you sit inside of a customer's business and take your company's AI product, let's say you work for OpenAI, and you make it work in production for the client. Palantir invented this role, and now OpenAI, Anthropic, AWS, and Google are all following suit. Time to first job offer, I'd say a pretty long time, at least 3 to 4 years if you're lucky. This isn't an entry-level job for beginners at all, but it is a role that you can aspire to specialize in one day. Earning potential, very high because making AI work inside of a messy enterprise environment is super difficult. AI durability, super high, which means it's very low risk of being automated. The best part is the more AI products the world is shipping, the more of these people are needed. Career leverage, one of the best. The next stage really is going independent and starting your own consulting company like I have, because you've collected engineering skills, business understanding, and solving real problems for customers all at once. So forward deployed engineer is S tier. Then we have network engineer. So this person designs and builds the networks that connect everything together. This is largely a physical in-person role where you're on site in data centers, racking hardware, running cables, and configuring the actual boxes that traffic moves through. Time to first job offer, 6 to 9 months. It's not as easy to get into as IT help desk, but they do hire beginners at entry level. Earning potential, I'd say it's average. It's better than most people assume, but you're not going to be making a killing here like you would as an AI or cloud engineer or an FDE. AI durability, high, so it's super low risk. It's super physical and hands-on work, so you're pretty safe until Elon Musk brings his Tesla bots into production to replace these roles. Career leverage, super limited, so let me explain. You're not actually behind your laptop building software or infrastructure or applications. Like I say, you're not designing the infrastructure that the modern applications and businesses actually run on. So you're safe in the role, but you're boxed in. The highest paying engineering roles require you to be building behind your laptop, and to progress, you seriously need to retrain. So network engineer goes into C tier. So here is the final list. S tier, cloud engineer and forward deployed engineer. A tier, AI engineer. B tier, software engineer and DevOps. C tier, GRC analyst, data analyst, and network engineer. D tier, QA and systems network administrator. F tier, IT help desk. And class support engineer. As always, I'm rooting for you. Go and become undeniable.